Hello, souls. Eileen here. I figured it was time to do another video. A lot of the times, this acceleration is happening now at such a pace that sitting down to write a blog post, which has been my usual sharing platform, sometimes it's impossible. Not that this is any easier, but I've learned over the years how to translate energy, basically. And I was trained very specifically for this. And I am seeing the patterns now over the course of my life, being through as a contactee and experiencing a wide variety of these kinds of experiences that you might hear at a ufology conference. But there are a lot of experiencers that do not come forward and never share their stories because it's just not something that they feel comfortable with. And I definitely understand that. Not all of us are, this isn't the path for all of us to be public about it. Since I've gone public with my variety of projects and sharing on my own website, koyoparising.com, I found that I fit nowhere in any existing category. There's these labels and these definitions are extremely, extremely limiting. And we have a tendency to, when we have an experience, to go searching Google, although I didn't have Google for most of my history of experiences, the major ones. We have a tendency to go looking for that definition and explanation. And this is something that I found to limit me as far as how much understanding I could receive if I just allowed this presence itself to communicate with me directly instead of getting scared and, the mind or the mental part of our being gets very uncomfortable with the unknown and uncertainties. So it quickly searches, finds, and says, okay, that's good enough, that explanation. So you'll find similarities in hearing others' experiences, but no two are ever going to be alike because it's being filtered through each individual and their own psyche, their own consciousness, their own set of fears and trauma that will, basically distort, have a tendency to distort how we explain it. Because we're kind of like, it's almost like dreams where, my dream symbols are going to be different from your dream symbols. Some of them might, be similar or resonant, but for the most part, it's an individual. My point is it ends up being an individual internal process and dialogue with the self with a capital S, to inquire directly about what is this? What am I needing to see or learn or understand? What is this preparing me for? Is there an evolutionary arc to these experiences. I was taught how to connect with it through this dialogue process. And later I discovered Jung in the Red Book, and it was like, oh my God, he's doing this dialogue thingy too. So those of you who are familiar with Jung and that process, this is basically what I was taught by non-human intelligence, to essentially come back online with this universal field so that we can begin to engage our natural state again. Not some huge quantum leap in consciousness, but in the beginning now, it's just simply, okay, return to your natural state, your original design. This is what we all have within us, this capacity, this ability to return, to rise above this, some people call it lower matrix reality, others call it the matrix, just simply the matrix, and I've called it or translated it as the containment. There are a variety of ways to describe this reality that we have been living within. I know now that all of these experiences that I had, that for the most part I could not find anyone to talk with about because it scares people, and when people get scared they shut down, or the mind goes to, she's crazy, I don't want to deal with this, she's crazy. And so I had to, at a certain point, just trust this presence that eventually over time became, quite loving and wise, and informed me when I practiced this dialoguing, that they taught me, or my soul taught me. So I'm in a new phase now. I have gone through phases of this evolutionary contact, and since the end of 2019, I went into quite a lot of downloads and dreams. And the downloads kind of trailed off maybe towards the end of January. And then I shifted into these extraordinary dreams, and they're getting even more extraordinary. And I'm noticing that it's not so much for me in my personal psyche and world and orientation, but rather it is for the collective. So those are the dreams that I share from time to time on the blog. I have kept dream journals for many, many years. And so I'm familiar with my own symbology. I have learned how to dialogue with the symbols. I have used this as a very, very important communication tool to understanding these higher dimensional realities and non-human, intelligence that resides in these greater dimensions, that if we're still just oriented to what we were born into and we just follow all the rules and do what we're told, basically, we wouldn't necessarily have this view. Well, some people might know, well, there's got to be something more, and maybe religion isn't really addressing it, maybe science isn't really addressing it for some people. We do have all the answers within ourselves. And this is what I was taught. One of the things that I want to talk about or expand on in this conversation, this sharing with you is because I'm in this new phase now where I'm getting these collective dreams about what's happening in what some might refer to as the Ascension Process. I've been guided not to use these kinds of terms that are overused in the lower matrix reality. And that's not a judgment on anyone who does use these words. I'm just saying that's how I've been guided. Pick new words, find new words, because words have a charge. Some words and phrases even have, kind of spells that can be put on them so that they don't ever really go anywhere. They just keep feeding back in this looping kind of consciousness where we like to talk a lot about these things, but there isn't necessarily a commitment and a dedication to actually expand out of this old system, old paradigm, limited bandwidth reality. And that requires will to do this. It requires, in a lot of cases, sadly, for most people, it requires, for some people who've had near-death experiences, it requires death in order to wake up enough to go, okay, I get it. I've had a different view now, and everything that I thought was real is not real. That's the kind of level of transformation that is required in order to truly navigate and to truly ascend. So we can, the egoic mind is such a trickster, because it convinces us that we are very spiritual, and I practice love, and I'm being loved, and I care, and I have compassion, and I have empathy, and you, I bet you do, and that's a beautiful thing. But what I'm talking about is what I was taken through these contact scenarios was death and rebirth repeatedly. Like, I can't pretend. Well, it took many years to come to that point where I lived two different lives. I was split because I knew the greater truth. I knew what was possible. I had been shown all of this. I'd been shown, the direction that humanity would go if humanity didn't wake up or transform to these degrees. So I guess what I'm saying is, from this point on, I'm going to be speaking to those who are either experiencers, or they have, had the death and rebirth cycles in their life, and they're going direct with their own inner wisdom. Basically, you're not involved in a belief system. You're not believing in something that you were given by another person. We can certainly resonate with beautiful wisdom, wise words, and that sort of thing. But what I'm talking about is you're receiving guidance and data. It might even just be a person who has just always prayed, and you just, and those prayers are answered. And that's what you follow. And you don't make comparisons to other people. You are your own sovereign spiritual being, and you understand what this resonance is. You understand when you are guided. You understand what knowing is versus believing. And that's quite a blessing to be in that space at this time. Because these are the ones who are engaged with their own process, who are receiving data, that I want to build community with. It's taken me quite some time to accept what I was being shown over these past few months, that not everybody is going to be able to traverse this open pathway now between worlds. Simply, there could be a variety of reasons. And it isn't that, it isn't a hierarchy. It isn't that, only the good people go and the bad people stay behind. It really isn't explained clearly in that way. It is more about your own willingness to engage with this greater love, this greater presence that is available to us. And these messages, the Sound of Gold messages that I've brought through over the years since roughly 2005, has, it's like the downloads would come and then a message, or a message would come and more downloads. As long as I was engaging in this dialogue that they taught me, then I would continue to get the data that I needed. This, I am informed, is the only way to move forward and to, especially in these times now, to walk this razor's edge, essentially, and to trust this inner love and presence above all. This is the true God. This is the source creator of all. And now that I've been exploring Gnosticism, it's like, I put on my Twitter account, which I'm going to start back up again because I'm leaving Facebook. I put, I was Gnostic before I even knew the definition of Gnosticism. And that's because I had the actual experience first, and then I had to figure out what happened to me. What was this that happened to me? Why do I see things completely differently? The same thing happened with the Kundalini experience, the major one in 1998. And then, of course, I used the word Coyopa on my website, which is the Mayan word for this, basically this force that rushes through you from, the goddess energy at the base of the spine and rushes up through you and is trying to reorient you and bring you back to your natural balanced state with, both sides of the brain working. And then you get to, then it's a long process of integration and then practicing, whoa, what's it like to create with this level of awareness? What's it like, to engage with it and knowing it's there and allow it to live through you in this whole, more holistic state. I am in no way saying I've reached the goal, because what I learned about this Kundalini Coyopa event was that it took a while to orient to it. So now what I'm seeing is that I was prepared my whole life to be upgraded, to adapt, to understand, to begin to hear and know things beyond what I could before, and then try and engage with other people and share and find other people like myself, which was all guided, you know, find these people like yourself and start having these conversations, because you're going to find that everybody has a beautiful treasure within them and has this beautiful piece of the puzzle. And so while I have my strengths and my passions and my my way of bringing all of these aspects of me together and what I love to do, other people have their own ways, their own inspirations, their own, wow, you know, these gifts that they discover they have because they have been willing to, you know, go through this extraordinary transformational process. So what's happening now is I see now this is what's happening for humanity. More and more people are waking up. There's we have to kind of pause and go, well, what does woke mean? What does awake mean? Waking up and seeing that you're living in a reality that doesn't really have your best interests at heart, that's one level of woke. And that's a really good level to wake up to. For me, when I went through the, abduction experiences and the out-of-body experiences and conversations, basically, people say telepathic, but for me, it's a resonance where I just receive data via light. And I just understand and know, and then I have to kind of sort through that and, following an experience and then integrate it, just like the Kundalini experience that I explained. So what's happening is I was visited by high frequency energy and intelligence. Right now, the collective is being pummeled with these energies, high frequency energies that are here now at this time. And you've heard me talk about the Mayan calendar from time to time, and all the other indigenous calendars across the globe that pointed to this time as the opening in this 26,000 year cycle, where we can navigate beyond this very, very small reality. I don't have time to go into the who, what, why, where, and when. How did this even happen? That we're all basically serving a very, very small system, and we have been controlled and manipulated. But the only reason that we can be controlled and manipulated and kept smaller than we are is because, basically, because we agree to it. And we say, oh, okay, this is who I am. And this it's not your fault, basically. This has been passed down to you in your DNA. This is conditioning. This is what happens when your families entrain you to this smallness, and schools entrain us, and then our political system. Everything is designed to work with a human being who's only using this much of their consciousness. When you're, let's say, an experiencer and you are blown out of that bandwidth, you see and you understand instantaneously. If it is a full-on transformational experience. And then that's not the hard part. That's not the scariest part. The hardest and scariest part is returning to the smallness and having to not only integrate and honor what happened to you, if you can. Some people just immediately shut it out and go back to, I only want the smallness. And that's okay, you can do that. But these contact experiences, the ones that I'm speaking about, the transformational, evolutionary ones, are designed to wake you up, you know, like shake you awake. And a lot of times people will report that it was absolutely terrifying. I can report the same until I integrated and I understood eventually what this was about. And then I overcame that fear. I overcame that terror. And so it was a whole, I'm getting at, this was a whole process that led me to this time where I can hear and see and know basically what's happening for not just me, but for all of us who are moving with this higher frequency energy. Now, those who haven't had an interest, let's say, or entertained even the concept that there's more than what they've been living in, it's very, very difficult to reach people who have rejected these ideas and who want to stay with their, you know, the information they were given. And that's okay. We all get to make this choice now. But what I'm saying now is I'm communicating with those who understand and resonate with what I'm saying and who want to have conversations about it, who want to share what they're receiving when they listen. And listening is a very, very important skill. I'm not talking about listening to the egoic mind. I'm talking about this, you know, having moved through this huge transformational experience or experiences like myself. But my point is that it's important that we come together and share what we receive. I've been public about it, but this is what I was guided to do, that I needed to overcome the fear of this, that we do need to speak the truth, especially as experiencers, because at this stage, what I'm saying is any kind of attachment to the old world, and I just shared this or outlined this in my last blog post. If we have, if our identity is wrapped up in the way things have always been, and we're just kind of hoping that, you know, we'll get, you know, the next president or the next leader will fix everything. Well, I think we've pretty much seen the pattern there. I don't think things get fixed. Not in this limited system and bandwidth of consciousness. It wasn't designed to be healthy, let's say. It wasn't designed to value human beings. I'm hoping that's really getting more clear now with this pandemic, that, you know, everything's set aside about, you know, your beliefs and the data you've collected from within the system about what this pandemic is and whose fault it is, and, you know, is it a weapon? Is it not a weapon? Set all of that aside and just look at your world right now. Look at the truth that is completely laid bare. you can look at it. So many people are being distracted by all this chatter and all the arguments. And it's like, that is designed to keep you from looking at what is so clear. Human beings are not valued. Human beings serve the system. They serve the masters. And this is part of the data that I was receiving years ago that I didn't really understand. And that is that I understand energy. This is one thing they've taught me about. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And for those of us who can feel this and see this, we're saying, hey, everybody, we have a few things to share with you about what we learned about what's going on here. But now that everything is crazy, it's a little bit easier to come out and talk about these things, because then in the end, what's crazy and what's not? So my experiences with connecting with intelligence that initially was terrifying, and I thought, ooh, bad, they're gonna hurt me, was just my projection onto them, because I didn't know myself. I had trauma. Everything that I was not conscious of, everything that was not integrated or healed within me, blah, it got splattered onto the other who was here to destroy me. They're not here to destroy us. They're here to effing wake you up so that you will take your power back. Not just make more stories about who they are and, you know, all this dramatic stuff. It's like, listen, what are they trying to tell you? What do they want you to know? What is your role? What can you do if you are willing to be truthful? Things are not going to get better within this bandwidth. The reason why they came to me and others I know, many others I know, was to upgrade you so that you could start to vibrate at these higher levels and start to receive data beyond this. Not in a magical way, in a natural way. So at a certain point, I had to say, I no longer trust this reality. I don't trust this system. I don't believe what they're telling me. It's not going to get better from that. What did Einstein say about you can't resolve a problem on the same level in which it was created? This should be really clear to us at this point. So I just wanted to share that with you, that I'm seeing this more clearly now. How important it is to engage with some of these perhaps uncomfortable parts of your life and relationships and ways of being, and heal it, because it's not over. This opening is still here. And from what I was shown, anyone at any point can, in any new present moment, say, I'm here. I want to expand. I want to remember who I am. I'm absolutely terrified, but I want to grow and expand, and I want to return to love. Being love, practicing love, creating with love. This is what I want. That's all that's needed, is your engagement, your willingness to do it. And then you can start to connect with others like myself, and share and get stronger in community, that you're not crazy, that it is important that we heal and we get to this place where there's an opening for this light to come in and to reignite our natural operating system, our original design. But it can't do it if you're blocking it and you're saying, no, that's crazy. I'm just gonna count on this next election to change my life. The only way to truly change and transform your life is by going within and starting that dialogue with your true creator, your true God. I have found. My last blog post, Surfing the Cosmic Waves, on July 5th on coyoparising.com. I spoke to some of this in a brief way, but I didn't share the dream that I had on Sunday. And that dream showed me that we had just blasted into a new range of multidimensionality. Those who are engaged with this process just landed in this new, it was actually quite amazing. There was a vibrancy and an aliveness just in the air in this dream. And all of us were kind of finding each other and looking at each other and going, hi. Wow, we're different. Everything's different. And I can't go into the whole dream because I've already rambled on enough, but basically it showed me that we were getting used to, just like I outlined earlier, after every big experience I had to get used to this new awareness, this new way of seeing things and understanding things, and even receiving data. Everything, was gradual, basically, over my life for me to integrate all of this. But it's going to go a lot faster at this time, and it is. It's. Let me just finish the dream message, which was you've just been pushed into this new, more layers of your multidimensionality, more awareness is possible. I should say that the potentiality is here. Okay, so we can just ignore potentiality, or we can start to engage with it, basically. But there was a part of the dream where we looked and we saw that there was up on this little hill, way in the distance, there were like all these sirens, police and ambulance and fire trucks. And it was just like this, oh my God, that looks really bad. And I looked out over this landscape, and there were people standing just like me in these areas apart from each other, that we were all looking to the hill, and you could feel our compassion and our love for those who didn't cross into this new dimensional reality, who are still going through the traumas and the violence and the pain, you know, still needing those experiences that bring you to your knees, cause the pain, because we need humans in this very dense reality. Sadly, we need these hard experiences for a lot of us to snap out of that old reality, to be given new perspectives, new ways of seeing things. And like I said earlier, sometimes that's the near-death experience itself, the NDE, where you actually die and you go meet these beings and they speak to you and you get inspired, and it's like, yeah, no, I want to stay here. This is really cool. No, you're going back because you're going to be a teacher, or whatever the stories, you know, a lot of them, they kind of have that theme. And they are doing this, and they're doing a beautiful job of being a teacher after experiencing that. And anyway, so there was an acknowledgement. We kind of knew we were all standing there looking and feeling the love and compassion for those who still had more, they needed more of these kinds of experiences that that is like the death, you know, dying and being reborn again through the hardships and through illness, through accident, through the you know, the violent experience of violence. So what the dream was showing me too was that we're all like coming, like realizing, oh, I can do this with my hand, or I can see things I didn't see before. And so it takes a while to reorient and adapt to what you're coming online with. And I wanted to also say that I wanted to talk about these things because I want to be connected with you. I don't have many followers. I don't get many likes and all that stuff, but the guidance just says, don't even look at that. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not a popularity contest. That's a hard one too, you know. That's a tough one because we're taught and we're entrained to this, that we have to be, you know, popular and successful and all that, and the way the system defines it for us, the way the algorithms affect us. This coming time is going to be difficult for a lot of people, and I believe that's what the view was showing me, us, that this is going to, we're heading into some really tough times for a lot of people. And I know it's already been tough, but it's important that you know, that you hear it from somebody. Maybe you won't hear it from me, and that's okay. But I'm here just to plant seeds. I'm here to lay out my maps of how I found my way to this understanding, not in a usual way that you might expect. I didn't go to India and sit with a guru and become enlightened. I had a very unique path in that I had these beings visiting me, and I could talk to no one about it. So what that does is it makes you go within. Any kind of scary thing that brings your consciousness right here in the present moment is going to help you and serve you in these times to be able to find that inner presence, find that inner love that guides and will never let you down as long as you keep showing up and you keep telling your truth and you keep asking for guidance. That presence will show up. But you have to have a commitment to do it. You have to be committed to it. So I wish you all very well through these coming months, and know that, you know, there is no death. There's only transformation. And so, you know, why not embrace the dying experience and the rebirth while you're still in form, rather than, you know, just assuming that this connection with your creator can only happen after you die. Yes, I'm here to tell you that it does happen after you die to your old way of being, but you don't have to die and leave the body. It's okay when people choose. It's not a judgment. Everybody gets to go and transform the way that they choose, their soul chooses. But we have an incredible opportunity at this time to die to this limited way of being and be reborn into the truth of our being, the wholeness, the way that our Creator originally designed us to be. So lots of love to you, and until next time, blessings to you.